Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. My name is Jade, and this is How to App on iOS. And today, it is
The Rant, number 4.
leaving it all on the field. Oh, yeah. So kick back with me for the next hour, and we're going to talk. Oh, boy, are we going to talk. And we're going to do it right about now. Hello, welcome to the show. I'm Jade. Hope you're all doing good. Hope you all are having a good end to the weekend. My weekend is over. It is now Monday here, and I have had a weekend of growth and wonderful experience and trauma and a whole lot of things. But we'll talk about that because it has a whole lot to do with what's happening today. Amazingly enough, the way things work out, yeah? It's a strange old universe. Firstly, before I say hello to everybody in the chat, I'd like to welcome our Wart Warriors. There are 118 of you, and I thank you so much for that. And I need to explain some things. So we were due to have a Wart Warrior quiz today. And hopefully, if you are a member, you got the message that this has been put back till next week. And there's a very good reason for that. There's personal reasons. There's some things that were going on this weekend that I just could not get around to doing. And another reason is I had a friend come and spend some time with me over the weekend to record some music. And it's just, man, the way the world works, yeah, the way things fall into place, it turned out to be so much more than just recording music with this friend. It turned out to be pretty much about what we're talking about today, leaving it all on the field. And both of us not only came out with some music, but I think better people. And it just goes to show you can teach an old dog new tricks, yeah? So we'll get more into that in a second. But let's say hello to you who have joined me on this ludicrous show that I do every week, which is just me talking a load of nonsense called The Rant. Welcome to Thomas Christ, wonderful moderator extraordinaire and host of such shows as You Rock and Thomas Christ Live. Hello, Gregory O'Sullivan and SM Borthwick and Chris Lane Sr., and Wolfstone Studio, Ron and Jenny both here. Hi, Chad. I'm so sorry I couldn't make your performance on the weekend, the amazing show that you held with all these fantastic female artists. I got to see little bits of it here and there. But, you know, sometimes things come up where promoting yourself becomes second and someone else becomes, you know, you put others forward, and there's so many other people that are so worthy of being able to be on a stage, and I don't need to suck the air out of the room every time. So we'll talk more about that because it's involved in what we're talking about today. Hello to this person, Scott, who says hello to Kim, and I'll find Kim's comment here. I'm watching and eating dinner, so big hello. Nom, 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 nom. Kim, always cooking, always eating. Surprising she's not Jabba the Hutt. Hello, Joe and Valerie. I hope you're both doing well. And I'm sure Barry Glenn is in the background going, let me out of the cage, Joe. Let me out. Give me some bread and water. What am I talking about? Who knows? It's always ridiculous on this show. You just have to deal with it. And there is my Leela, my Leely Lali Lulu La, the Leela of the Rising of the Dark Leela Leelies, whatever that means. Hello, Forest of the Wolf, Tremor Bear, Thomas Gillane. Hello, Thomas. Really good to see you. Let's see what you've got to say. Good evening. Hopping by to say hello before going to sleep. Hope you're well. Mum is doing great. Eats like a horse. Mwah. You tell your mum I love her, and I love you too, Thomas. Thanks for calling in. You rock. You are amazing. I think the world of you, like many of you. All right. So if you are lurking as well, lurk, be free, but feel free to interact because I'll be asking you some things, yeah? All right, so let me start, shall we? All right. I said it before, you can teach an old dog new tricks. I don't care what people say. If they tell you can't, they're an idiot. They're wrong. And they're not willing to open their mind up enough to explore the fact that you can be better at anything at any time. And you can... Sorry, Barry, let me out. I knew that would bring you to the chat, Barry. But you can teach an old dog new tricks. And guess what else happens? Sometimes you can't teach new tricks, old tricks to new dogs. The opposite works as well too, all right? So as soon as you can change your mindset on things like that, you can learn things at any age, as long as you want to. Do you want to learn things? Do you want to get better? Of course, if you really want to, then you are an old dog, and there's a lot of us old dogs around this community of music, then you can be better. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? You can always, and it can be incredibly frustrating teaching old dogs new tricks because some old dogs can't get past the thought process of, but I can't learn. Hopefully you'll understand that because, if you've come up against this kind of thing where you say to somebody, no, I think you could do that. And they're like, no, I can't do that. And it's like, well, clearly you're not going to be able to learn to do that because you keep telling yourself that you can't. Do you not realize that the first step in learning something is actually letting go and believing that you could possibly learn something? Showing a bit of, dare I say, vulnerability. Vulnerability is a very important thing when learning things and getting better at things and being your best at things. Why is that? Why is vulnerability such an important thing? Because especially when we're talking about creativity and music making, like many of us do here, you need to be able to connect with people, yeah? You need to be able to show vulnerability without bullshitting it. And people can say that it's hard to, show vulnerability. It's only hard because you don't allow yourself to. The interesting thing is when you share yourself and are vulnerable, most of the time you'll find out that many people have experienced the same thing. So it opens the doors to other people being vulnerable. Leaving it all on the field. When you are able to trust, now trust is a really hard thing to have in this world because, there's a lot of lies out there in the world. But, you don't, in a previous show when we talked about energy vampires, you don't need to surround yourself with those. You don't need, you don't need to get up every day and watch news and politics and all that stuff. You actually don't need to. And you'll find when you stop watching that stuff, guess what? It all becomes so nothing. It just matters so much. The 24-hour news cycle of just nothingness. Hello, Brad. Love you so much. Good to see you. Hello, Ed. B Myrtle. So, teaching an old dog new tricks. Now, I'm going to be talking not only about music today and creating things, but just things in general that you want to achieve, things that you want to get better at, things that you want to make money from, things like just, getting to bed on time and all this kind of thing. It is about leaving it all on the field and giving it your best shot, pulling up your socks and going for it. All that stuff is really relevant. Now, I'm going to start by talking about a television show, which, I'm being totally skull. And I love it. Thanks, Leela, for skull me. So, I'm going to talk about this television show. which I, for the longest time, and still do, find incredibly annoying. I find it to be utterly annoying, and a lot of people, it doesn't help for the longest period of time. But there's a point in this television show where it actually does help people, and people actually start to see the idea, the concept of leaving things on the field and being able to connect, right? So, obviously today's the focus is on music, of course. So creating music and recording music and doing all this kind of stuff, you can write the greatest song in the world, yeah? But if you don't connect with people, it doesn't really matter. Nobody's going to listen to it. Nobody's going to feel anything. And not everybody's always going to feel what you're putting out there. And not everybody's going to like what you're putting out there. And that is okay. Once you're able to get your head around that and go, oh, well, I don't care if somebody doesn't like it. I don't need that glory anyway. I'm quite happy knowing that I have left it all on the field myself. I have put everything I can into this thing, and once it's out and into the ether and circulating, it's going to reach the people it needs to reach, and they're going to connect with it. So I'm going to talk about these talent shows like Idol and America's Got Talent, or England's Got Talent, or whatever they're called, right? Because the one thing that does happen throughout these shows, and what do they go for, like 3 months, 4 months, yeah? And there's this parade, this cavalcade of people who are line up and get like their 3 seconds on the stage in front of a bunch of washed up people who have previously put it out there, left it on the field. Right? So no matter how hacky these judges and stuff are, these people have lived it and done it. That's why they're there. They understand about leaving everything on the field. And where does that term come from? Leaving everything on the field. I first heard it when I was forced to play football when I was young. And a coach would say, get out there, mate, have a good game and go hard. Make sure you leave it all on the field. Or as an Aussie, on the field. What? Leave it all on the field? Yeah. And there's so many aspects to leaving it all on the field in that aspect of playing sport and football. It was like, go out there and give everything you've got. And if you've got a problem with somebody, a bit of biffo, leave it on the field. Give the guy an elbow. Take him out. But once you're off the ground, that's it. It's done. Because you should have been able to leave all that out there. Get that out. Do that on that field in those moments that you are given to shine. And then once you are off that field, do the same thing, but in other aspects of your life. Maybe not necessarily go around elbowing people in the head who you don't like. Leave that on the field. Yeah? Because there's a lot of that in football here in Australia. So in these talent shows, they parade these people through, and they get their 30 seconds to stand in front of a judge and go, "Nyeh." And the majority of that process is about mockery, because that's what a lot of people tune in for, to see the car crashes, the mockery, and the but all my friends tell me I'm an amazing singer. You know what I'm saying? It's like your friends are assholes because they're lying. But that's, a lot of people tune in for that. That's what they actually are there for, to see the beginning of that show, to see the people fail. And there's always going to be those people who watch this stuff and want to see you fail, and want to see all the failures, and all the people get their faces rubbed in crap, because that's unfortunately the part of society that shines the brightest a lot of the time, which makes something about this community so special. We can all agree that, we do share a lot of love across these channels and stuff, of us, majority of, 35 and up to 100 community of music makers. Hello, Ivan Idea and Andy. You are. There you both are. And if I've missed anyone new, I'm trying to keep check But I'll ask you guys a few things in a moment. But negativity is a selling point, yeah? But getting away from that, once these people are selected and the competition begins, here's where things get interesting, because if you've watched these shows, you'll see it all the time. The contestants pick a song each week, and then they learn how to sing it, and then they get on stage in front of an audience, and then they sing, and people judge them on their performance. But every week, a lot of the people, these contestants, seem to get berated each week, and the judges say things like, "Yeah, look, you sung it fantastic, but I'm just not feeling it. You're just not connecting with the crowd. You're just not." And they don't get it, and they go on for these 4 months performing, and like the performances are, they sing fantastic, but they're not connecting with the audience. They're not. It's not connection, and it's really hard to get through to somebody how to be vulnerable and bear everything, and leave it all on the field. Make every performance like it's your absolute last. Like tomorrow you're dead, and this is your last moment to sing that song. Because that's the way, in my opinion, remember, these are just my rant, that is the way that you connect. And if you watch these shows, you'll see as people drop off and they get done each week, they get voted off the island, the people left behind continue to pick a new song each week. But here's the thing, they're picking a song for what they think the audience will like. So the audience will vote for them. They're choosing a song for somebody else. And it's little wonder why they struggle to connect with people. How do you open up and leave everything on the field and be utterly vulnerable when you're singing something that does not connect with you, but you're trying to connect with other people? You can't. And that's why so many of the really talented singers in these singing competitions on television get voted off early. And there's always like a whole bunch of shock people. It's like, I can't believe that person got voted off. I mean, their voice is incredible. And they would be just immaculately trained, sing like a goddamn demon. But nobody gives a shit because they're choosing songs for other people. They don't have the ability to leave it all on the field. And you start to see towards the end, the people that are left, you do start to see the judges saying to them, "That's it. That's what we wanted from you. We're starting to see the real you. That's you. And that's what we wanted from you. We know you can sing, but we want you." And it is the moment when the contestants start choosing songs that they emote with. They understand. They can be vulnerable when they're singing it because it means something to them. Yeah? And this is when you get to the point of the final performances of all these shows, regardless of if you like the shows or not. They're normally some just mega performances. And people connect. And you see over the period of the 3 to 4 months of the show being on air, crowd shots going from just people clapping to people wiping their eyes, crying, and actually standing on their feet and like clapping like that. Oh my God. And that's the difference between leaving it on the field and just painting by numbers and just creating things that you think people like, right? Unfortunately, now we get to the sad part of my analogy using these shows, is once these amazing artists, these young, talented, impressionable artists finally find their voice and themselves and their vulnerability and their voice, and they connect with people and they win the whole competition, then they win an album that somebody else wrote for them, which totally destroys everything you've worked for. It doesn't make sense. It's one of the stupidest things I've ever seen. Well done, we know who you are. You connected with me. Every word made me cry. I can't wait to hear you sing this collection of songs written by somebody that you have no connection with whatsoever. It should be smashing. And you know what happens for a lot of the time? Those releases, the winners' albums, tank. They tank. You know, it's only a very few who have gone on to become really big stars. And a lot of them has been after they release their second thing and they're actually writing their own stuff. Because then, again, they are able to truly leave it on the field. Yeah? Because it's important to be able to leave it all on the field. And I try and do it all the time. And I never used to, but we'll go into that. Hello, Roque and Robbie Stingle and Queen Bee. And who have I missed who's come in since I've been ranting? So it is a bit of a rant today. This one really is a rant. I think I said hi to Andy. If I didn't, I'll say hi now. I can't remember. See, I'm ranting way too much today. And this comes back to also things like comparing yourself to others. Is there anybody here in the chat who finds themselves doing that? And Thomas says here, the winners all end up milked for all the capital they can get out of them and then left for debt. Yeah. But is anybody here fall into the trap sometimes of comparing themselves to others? Now, it comes in different ways, many different ways that you can compare yourselves to others. I want to use the example of the weekend I just experienced. Hi, Doug Kidder. So I will. And hopefully my dear friend won't give a shit. So I had a really amazing friend come out here this weekend and we recorded some music because he's an amazing artist and I've done music with him in the past. But just of recent times, he just hasn't been able to find it. And get it out and get it done. And it's, you know, when you're a creative soul and you write music and get everything out and you're a very passionate artist and you're unable to do it, things can go wrong in your life, yeah? It's absolutely can happen. And so an opportunity arose this weekend for me to invite my friend out to my house and put myself last and have him come out and me invest 3 days hanging out, catching up, and creating some music. But we can fall into a trap of comparing ourselves to other people, yeah? Where you beat yourself down so much as an artist because you haven't had the drive to do it for a while, and that you start saying things like, oh, yeah, I write good songs, but I'm not as good as you. And, you know, has anybody here fallen into this kind of thing where you say stuff like that where, oh, I'm okay, but like, I'm not as good as this person. But I'm not as good as, I can't do that though. It's a spiral you can fall into where you're constantly it's telling yourself you're not as good as this, but you're not that. And you're never going to be that. So comparing yourself to that is just pointless. It's an unnecessary stick to hit yourself over the head with. And it may sound like quite harmless to throw off something like that, but you're just saying that, you know, this is better. But, you know, you can compare yourself, but if you continually say this kind of thing, yeah, it can have an effect on you overall for a long period of time, right? So if you've ever owned an animal, yeah, and you've gone and bought a new dog or something, you've gone and picked up a new dog from somebody, and the previous owner used to hit the dog all the time, and then you go to pat this new dog that you've got, you know what the dog's going to do every time you go and pat it. It's either going to try and bite you or it's going to cower. It's going to freak out. Because if you do something long enough and continuously enough, all right, it has an effect. And even the words that you put out of your mouth, which seem offhand and just like a simple comparison, all right, to somebody else. But over time, your brain is a lot smarter than you. And it remembers this stuff, right? So don't try and think you're smarter than your brain. I've learnt that. Every day I get up and I say, brain, I wish I could be as smart as you. Exactly, Kim. You make your own reality. If you tell yourself something enough, then guess what? You become that. You become that. You know, I can't do that. I can't. I couldn't do that. I can't do a live stream in stereo. Right? Feed your brain good stuff. Feed your brain good stuff. And then when it comes down to creativity and making things or whatever it is that you want to do, right? Your brain's in a good place and you're able to let go and be more vulnerable and be able to connect and be able to find those songs, find those lyrics. Because, you know, not every song's ever going to be a good one. There's lots of shitty ones, yeah? But even though you may think it's a shitty song, I'm a big proponent of this. Even if you think it's a really shitty song, but if you sing it like like it's your last moment on earth, it doesn't need to be a damn good song. People will feel it, right? So this comes into like technique and learning things, and I used to get this all the time. So when I was learning singing, right, a lot of the singing teachers I got would try and make me learn songs that I hated. Right? And if you've ever tried to learn an instrument and you're in the chat, let me know. What instrument was it that you tried? You had lessons and you goddamn hated that teacher because they taught you shit that you didn't want to learn. You can tell me in the chat. But as a singer, singing teachers would go, you sing this song. And I'd go, I don't want to sing that song. And the singing teacher would go, I don't give a fuck if you don't want to sing that song. It's going to help you sing better. All right, cool. So after a lot of back and forward and me being a stubborn piece of crap, I started to understand that and listen to the person who I'm obviously should be learning from. And over time, I picked up a lot of techniques to sing well. And it was all good. And I was like, well, I think I can actually sing. But the one thing that nobody ever taught me, and I don't know if can it be taught? I don't even know, is how to perform it, how to express it, how to be there in front of people and how to just turn it on and be on and do it and convey and reach people and leave it on the field. It's the one thing you can't get with singing lessons. And I've had many people give me techniques. If you've ever had singing lessons, you may have heard some of these techniques, which I'll go into in a second, because Doug Kidder says, I tried learning sax once and was banned from the neighborhood. There's always going to be the comedian here, isn't there, Doug? Chris says, Miss May, 2nd grade, could have saved myself some effort. Love the recorder, said Tremor Bear. I had a white and red one. Thomas has got some words here. You are the best you there is. If you try to be someone else, you'll fall short because you're you, yeah. But there'll never be a better you than you either. So here's the thing. One of the techniques I was taught to perform better and be able to connect with an audience, because it's not that much difference connecting with an audience live like this in a room. It feels weird at first, sitting in a room all by yourself, talking to a TV screen, right? or being on a stage in front of like 100 people, 20 people, 75,000 people, right? And one of the vocal teachers I had, what they tried to tell me was a fantastic technique to learn to not be shy and introverted on stage and be able to project and do all this stuff and leave it all on the field, was to find something in the audience, something, a dot, a poster on the wall, something somewhere. Don't make eye contact with people. Just find something out in that audience that you can sing to and project to and emote to. And that worked. That was something that helped. It helped actually perform in front of people, but it didn't necessarily help me be vulnerable to perform. Yeah, because that's the hard thing. Once you get over being able to stand there on stage and sing to people and perform and get lost in the moment and do all that, but being able to connect is another level, and it's, again, really hard to teach. Now, unfortunately, that method for me of finding an inanimate object to stare at while I was singing went wrong one night because I, in my infinite wisdom at a gig, decided to drop some LSD before going on stage. And, well, I got up on stage and I remembered that technique. Find the inanimate object in the audience and sing to it. And you know those little light sensors you see in the corner of houses? They're like a little white box with a little flashing light. It flashes every now and again. It kind of looks like the helmet of Ned Kelly, but white. Can I find a picture of them? They're a motion sensor. Indoor. Yeah, something kind of like this. Let's see, images. I'll find one. I found one perfectly. There we go. So, like this. Look at these things here. See this? And it flashes. You see them all the time. Well, I decided to focus on one of those, on LSD. And I began to think it was Ned Kelly winking at me. And unfortunately, during the show, I had a conversation with Ned Kelly winking at me. So the inanimate object thing didn't really work because I wasn't connecting with the audience at all, was I? I was connecting with Ned Kelly, the plastic flashing thing in the corner of the room that I thought was giving me the answer to life, the universe, and everything in between songs. Talk about red light fever. Anyway, I've totally gone off the subject. But again, it comes back to, it's really hard to teach you how to be able to connect with people. But it starts with trust. It starts with vulnerability. Ned Kelly, you don't know, people probably don't know who Ned Kelly is. So Ned Kelly is an outlaw. We can do this. Ned Kelly is an outlaw, an Australian outlaw. Here he is. Ned Kelly, an Australian bushranger, an outlaw, a gang leader, convicted of police murder, one of the last bushrangers. He's known for wearing a suit, a bulletproof armour suit, in his final shootout with police. And the fame of Ned Kelly is he wore this helmet on his head when he would go into gun battles. And I can't believe there hasn't been a picture of it anywhere in this Wikipedia. It's the most iconic thing in Australian history. So there it is. There's his suit. And see the helmet there? It's like a with a little eye cut out. And he wore this thing as he went down as a hero shooting police, yeah? So I thought that light was Ned Kelly, the famous bushranger. Don't ask me why. Remember, my brain is more intelligent than me. And it was on LSD, so these things happen. Let's just say I never did LSD on stage ever again. there's that. So, technique versus passion. Versus leaving it all on the field, being able to connect. You can learn as much as you want technique-wise. Have you ever been to a guitarist clinic? Like something like Yngwie Malmsteen guitarist clinic. I've been to a few of them. I've been to an Yngwie Malmsteen guitar clinic twice. Who else? There's another guitarist clinic I went to. And in theory, it sounds awesome. Going to see Yngwie Malmsteen, this legendary guitarist, the technique, the skill set, it's just amazing of this guy. But then you get there and it's this guy on stage with a guitar showing a bunch of technique and fuck all else, really. And it's really utterly boring. And you'd just rather go out and, like, I don't know, eat dirt. It's totally uninspiring. Even like the most technically like turned on guitarist in the world who like, you know, so turned on by every note and all this stuff and all these techniques on guitar. I challenge them. Go and watch a guitarist session like that and come away thrilled. You can't do it. It's impossible. It's just like, you know, I mean, it's less wanky than going to a peep show. And there's actual wanking going on there. It's surely boring. It absolutely is. Because technique ain't everything. Yeah? Hi, Lynn. Hello, Lynn. Hello, Teresa Verde. Ignore me. And Conspiracy, did I say hi to you, Conspiracy? Technique ain't everything. Yeah, and technique sometimes can leave you a little bit empty, to be honest. Like, there's lots of bands I love there who are technically brilliant, but do I feel anything? Not a lot, you know. Now, that would be good, Chad. I'd go and see that. I'd buy that for $1 guitar peep show. Do you want me to go off track like I normally do? I remember going to my first peep show. It was with a group of friends. We were really drunk and we were like 17 and we're like, let's go in and see what it's about. Yeah. And we didn't have much money because we were just skaters and every Friday we'd go out into the city and just buy an album each and just hang out and maybe sneak a few beers. Anyway, we saw this peep show and we went downstairs into this dirty, dingy place and it was like $5 per like 3 minutes or something. And all 5 of us crammed into this tiny little space and put the money in. And the little peep thing opened. We're all trying to have a peek going on. And it was one of the most horrid things I'd ever seen. It looked like somebody... The poor woman had been caged in there and they'd been feeding her bread and water and they let her out for an hour to do this. But it all went south when I happened to look down at my feet and there was a wastebasket full of dried tissues. And I went, oh my God, there's like 100 dried tissues in this bin. And we all went, ah, we all ran out, never went back again. Anyway, totally off topic today. Yeah, it probably was what happened. It probably was. It happens in Thailand, trust me. So technique versus passion, yeah? I mean, you can sit there and teach people, you know, the most amazing technique. But again, if they don't know how to connect... In one of the bands I was in, we had 2 guitarists in this band and one of them was super technical, really amazing player. But fuck, was he a boring motherfucker. And it came across like that. Even the way he played on stage, his guitar was always really high. And as he would play, he would like thrust his pelvis out. And it looked so weird. And the other guitarist, his skills were shit. All right, but could this guy play? Because he felt every goddamn note. He was the feeling dude in the band. And you would see after the gig, after everybody had finished and we packed our stuff up, more people would go to the feely guy and hang out with him because off stage, He was vulnerable and he wasn't perfect. And normally we'd have to carry him out, put him in the car, wheel him into the car because he'd get totally shit-faced. But the other dude was an absolute stick up his ass and nobody ever wanted to talk to him. And he always wanted to talk to everybody. And it was a real problem. So we had to get rid of him because he was just a pain in the ass. Because he was unable to learn how to emote with people, how to connect with people, how to leave it all on the field. He would get up there and then it was like he was exactly the same as what he was off stage. Because when you perform and when you're in the recording studio and when you're making music, it's like wrestling. You have to turn yourself up. You have to turn yourself up to 11, right? You have to think about yourself like a dial tone. Or a dial on an amplifier, right? Because it's a performance. Being it recording to tape or to digital or being on stage, you have to kind of, at some stage, turn it up. And I know you're probably going to go like, roll your eyes here, but wrestling signifies this perfectly well. Yeah, you'll see there are some wrestlers from the WWE or whichever promotion you watch, if you watch it, who just can't connect with people. And the script writers give them a gimmick, right? Like Brutus the Barber Beefcake. That's a gimmick in wrestling, and that's their thing. They have scissors, or Jake the Snake had a big snake and would put it on people, and that's your gimmick. But if you can't get your gimmick over with the audience, they write you another gimmick. And you'll see with wrestlers over a period of time, some wrestlers have had gimmicks, multiple gimmicks over a 30-year period because the gimmick isn't connecting. But the one gimmick that always resonates and why these people remain the biggest names in wrestling, The Rock, Stone Cold Steve Austin, Hulk Hogan, they're just themselves turned up to 11 or 150%, right? So you're able to actually connect with them. It makes sense. It's why Stone Cold Steve Austin as the wrestler worked so well, because he was the guy who told his boss to go shove it up his ass, Vince McMahon. And it worked amazing because every person in those audiences were like, I want to be that guy and tell my multi-millionaire boss, go get effed. And that's what Stone Cold Steve Austin did. He was all the time, he's just, screw this. I'm the little fighting man. But really away from that, he's just the same dude, just turned down a little bit. Yeah? You need to make the role work. Yes, and where exactly, and like me saying this, saying, you know, if you're performing or recording, turn yourself up to 11, I'm not telling you to be someone else. That's not it. Because if you try, we're going back to what we said earlier. Don't try and be somebody else because people will see straight through it. They will. Authenticity as well as vulnerability. All these things are super important. You have to be able to be authentic. And the only way to be authentic is to be truthful. As truthful as you can, because you don't have to give everybody everything. You can keep a few things for yourself. We live in a day and age where social media is training people to just make everything content. And no, don't do that. Don't make everything content, because when you do that, you got nothing left. You got no time to unwind and have those moments that keep you sane from performing. So this applies to recording, right? Singing, especially. This is where my expertise is in singing. Bringing out a good performance. You've got to sing like it's your last day on earth, whenever it is. It's not always going to go over either, as in wrestling terms. That's what they call it. If you get over, the crowd like you. If you bomb, they don't. Whereas in wrestling, you pay attention to your audience, and if they don't like you, you just turn bad. And that happens too with performers or content creators on YouTube and stuff. You see, there are people out there who may have had a YouTube channel where they did a thing for a bunch of years and no one gave a shit. And then they made one video where they were truthful and said, I don't like these people. And then all of a sudden you had all these viewers. And now that channel has capitalized and become a channel that shits on people. Right? Do I agree with that? Not really. But that's paying attention to your audience and understanding what is connecting with the people you already have. And if that works and you can make something out of it, then do it and go hard at it. So I always equate everything to wrestling because wrestling is amazing. And it's part of the reason we didn't do the quiz today because AEW had a pay-per-view on. I've been up since 3 a.m. watching that. It was in London. It was 80,000 people. It was amazing. Thanks, DOA. I thought you'd like it. Yes. The Immaculate Death. We're up to, so you got to find balance too. Yeah, that's where I was heading with that there. So you got to find balance. You can't live every moment of your life leaving everything on the field. You got to have the downtime to chill and do the things that you relax, and you got to have those moments. So why do I bring this up? Why has this come to the forefront of doing this rant thing today? Why is this specific subject? Well, it comes to my performances on the weekend. Yeah, the opening hour. Every weekend, if you don't know, I perform live for an hour on this channel. So it's Saturday for most people in the US and UK. And it's an hour of my time. But let me tell you, I leave everything on the field for that. Like most things I do now. I leave everything on the field. That red light comes on, and I sing like this is my last effing show. There ain't going to be one again. Because you don't know, too. You really don't know. And a common thing with a lot of people from around this community is we have health issues. There's a lot of people within these communities who have health issues. In fact, there's a lot of people around the world who have some pretty yucky health issues going on. So a lot of us are in a similar boat. Not the same, but different. So, and as you get older, your mortality starts to get to question. You know what I'm saying? Yes. So every performance for me on the weekend, even though you may think, oh, Jade's just trying to like grift money or whatever, that is true. It is a performance. I look at it as a gig. I can't go and do the things I used to do. So it's a performance. But I look at it like as soon as that show begins, I'm going to give you every goddamn thing I've got inside until I can't anymore. And that hour finishes and I log off the side you don't see and go downstairs and sit on my couch and feel like dog shit for the next 3 hours. But you know what? It's absolutely worth every goddamn second of the 3 hours that I feel like dog shit or the rest of the day, because I know that performance, I left everything on that goddamn performance, even the mistakes, even the failures, and I accept them because I can't change them, and I laugh at them and cringe at them and laugh at you cringing at them and laughing at them, and because that's what it's about. It's taking those risks and fucking giving it your all. And the same with recording too. I had my friend here, as I said at the beginning of the show, for 3 days. And we came in here and we recorded music and we left it on the table and just went, let's just do it. Let's just do that. Yeah, let's just do that. Let's just do that. And then I'm going to tell you something really full on to close with, because we're at that moment. And I want to thank you all for, again, joining me for these rants. You know, I don't want to come off as I hope you don't think I'm just some opinionated asshole, because I genuinely care so much. It's one of my issues that I'm working on, that sometimes I have to give a little bit back to me, and that's what I did this weekend, even though I gave a lot to someone else. Yeah. So after we made music this weekend, we sat down in my lounge room and chatted, and then the conversation got a little bit heated over politics. And I actually didn't want to argue about politics. But what I did do was start an argument which had an ulterior motive to lead to something else. So it was a good step-off point to lead to something else, because I love my friend. And I don't like seeing people in a hole, in a place where they're not able to leave it all on the field. So I was brutally honest, and it felt like shit to say some of the things I said to him. And if you're watching this, Dylan, you know what I'm saying. I felt like terrible saying some of the shit I said yesterday. But if your friends can't tell you shit like that and be completely honest and leave it all on the field, then they're not fucking worth having. Yeah? So it's not only music. There's a reason why people say if you can have at least 5 friends, the number of fingers on your hand, then you're doing all right. People you can trust that will give you honest feedback and tell you the truth because they care, then you are winning so big. Numbers of friends mean fuck all if they don't let you know the reality of what's going on and love you. So this happened yesterday, and it was the right thing to do. No matter how painful it was, leaving it all on the field was the right thing to do. Because today, I'm sure we both feel, so I know I feel better knowing he feels better. And yeah. So, be honest with your friends. Leave it all on the field. Because real friends will do that. It's the ones who won't tell you shit and just let it go. That when you finally do be honest and go through hard times, they'll walk away because they don't have the ability to be true and confront things and pull you up when you fucking need it. Yeah? I'm going to end today's show with a song that you may not have heard before. You would have heard it. Because this all comes back to all this stuff is you got to be doing the things that make you happy. And if you're not, start doing it. Today. Yeah? And then you will actually find it a lot easier to leave it all on the field. Because even if it is vulnerable, it takes a lot out of you to do, to the point that you feel sick afterwards, it's something you love. You love it. You want to share it, and you want to see other people get better. And do your best to lift other people up. Because you deserve a break, and you don't have to be at the center of the attention all the time. It's a really hard thing to learn. So I'm going to close with saying, do what makes you happy. And I'm going to bounce you all over to Pete Johns. And speaking of Pete Johns, I want to let you know something else quickly. Folks, this week there is no interview here on the channel, but it is the kickoff of Songtember 2023. Thursday for you in the US and UK. And I'll be hosting a kickoff party with Pete Johns. And it's also the 1000th episode of this channel. And it's also my 51st birthday. Because I'm old. So hopefully you can come and join me for my birthday party. It's actually on my birthday. Pete's going to be here, and we're going to be playing some of your music from the last 5 years of Songtember and celebrating what you make. Yeah? It's going to be an awesome day. That's enough advertising. Today what I'm going to do is I'm going to play you something special, which there's a link pinned to the comment up the top there if you want to go see the whole thing. This was from a performance from a few years ago that I was lucky enough to be a part of, and it's buried deep within my channel, so you may not have found it. And in this performance, trust me, this was an LGBT event that I got asked to perform at and headline in front of a huge auditorium, and I left everything on the field. So much so, if you watch the performance, you'll see me crying through a majority of songs. So I'm going to finish with this today. This is a version of Do What Makes You Happy, because do what makes you happy. Mistakes make you better, and we'll all rise together. And I'll dump you over at Pete straight after this. Thanks for being here, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.
Song title says it all for this. This is called Do What Makes You Happy. That's all you need to do. That's all we all need to do. This is not another love song. It is about being true to yourself. It's all you can rely on, and friends who love you for being your true selfish. You may think it of me, but we are connecting right now. Here, your selflessness is all you need, and then you can be true to your words and music, your life you choosing, songs and laughter, all shit ever after. You can choose it all, you can lose it. Just remember, don't ever abuse it. Just do what makes you happy. This is not another fairy tale. It is about seeing through someone else's eyes that I've seen a million places, and face first adversity and prejudice just for being themselves. Is it really worth the hustle to hate, hurt someone for being different? 'Cause everybody's made of flesh, bone, skin, and blood. We eat and breathe and love. Not enough, not enough. But through words and music, your life you choosing, songs and laughter, all shit ever after. You can choose it all, you can lose it. Just remember, don't ever abuse it. Just do what makes you happy. So many people are afraid to be themselves, afraid of what people may think. Isn't it right to say that people you worry about, they only worry about themselves? They're not thinking about you. So why do so many people lash out in public at a person for being 100% themselves? You can't believe in yourself 100% without being an asshole. I was unhappy for many a year in my life, emotions flowing on a roller coaster, suicide. Truly hated myself as a feeling the worst. Nobody would love me for me, telling you free Thank you so much, everybody, for